Yo, Hideyuki here. The Rebelling Rose, the Messenger Effects, the one born to be Berserk, returning yet again with another great video. For today, we have Centuria to discuss. And here are my petals of wisdom when it comes to Centuria. Centuria had a fall off like I've never seen before in manga. You know, I've seen manga come and go, but there's something interesting about Centuria that I have not really experienced all too much when it comes to manga. You know, and it just needs to be studied, man. It truly needs to be studied. So buckle in, because Dr. Yuki is in, and we're going to be going over why, you know, Centuria fell off so hard. You know. So let's backtrack a little bit. What is Centuria in the first place? You know, it's another dark fantasy manga, brand new, and it tried so hard to copy, you know, Berserk and Vinland Saga and try to be on that same level. You have this character that's trying to get out of the depths of despair, and he's doing this, you know, for a sibling or what have you, for their family. So you're following their journey. And people were hyping it up left and right. People were going crazy over in Centuria, man. They couldn't get enough of it. They're like, oh man, this is going to be the new Berserk. This is going to be the new Vinland Saga. Oh man, oh man, this is going to be peak, man. This is going to be peak. And just for barely a year to pass, and no one's talking about it. You know, people are already like, oh my God, Centuria fell off. I mean, the story is horrible now. You know, it's going absolutely nowhere. And when I saw that, I'm like, see, you don't listen. I remember when it first came out and I was talking about it, no one believed me, man. They're like, oh man, Yuki, you don't know what you're talking about. You know, it's going to be such a masterpiece. And then it falls off. And I'm like, what was that again, fraud? And they're like, I didn't say anything earlier. Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. That's exactly the fuck I thought. See, you guys need to pay attention to people that actually know what they're talking about more often, because we can foresee these things. You know, that's why I'm a rebelling rose of wisdom. You know, I can foresee those things. I've been there. I've done that. Now, Centuria is a rare case because, I mean, I didn't expect it to fall off that bad. But, you know, I knew people were going to forget about it eventually. I just didn't think it would be this quick. But yeah, with Centuria, I mean, wow. If you look that up, right, you see tons of channels talking about this series and making their little corny analysis videos and their breakdown videos, their chapter reviews, going insane. But the more they actually read the story, the more they actually paid attention to those details, the more they actually looked into the manga beyond, you know, the crazy hype that it got off rip, they started to realize, holy shit, the series is actually bad. It's actually going nowhere. It's boring. You know, it's predictable. I mean, wow. And I think that's the main contributing factor as to why Centuria fell off so bad and why it couldn't maintain the hype, why they couldn't maintain its presence. Because people realized too fast, too quickly, that it wasn't going anywhere. They knew the pacing was horrible. They knew the story had nothing going for it. You know, they overestimated it. You know, they judged it way too high. You know, they praised it way too much. And it cost them dearly. They realized, man, I just wasted all my time talking about a manga that's going absolutely nowhere. I'm not going to be talking about this anymore. I'm not going to do my reviews on this anymore. And that's what happened. That's exactly how it happened, man. Centuria fell off from the inside. You know, the same people that hyped it up ended up making its downfall. They ended up losing interest because they saw from themselves that it was going nowhere. And usually that doesn't happen that fast. Like, yeah, it happens. You know, I see it all the time. I mean, even the big three experienced that. I mean, look at Naruto and Bleach. Those series fell off as well. And it was because fans realized that it fell off. You know, it took them damn near decades to figure it out, but they knew. By the time they got to the end, they're like, holy fuck, I really wasted my childhood on that bullshit. But anyways, back to Centuria. With Centuria's case, it happened at a much faster pace. And I think people were, it kind of played into the strengths a little bit that led to its weakness, where people were so excited about Centuria, they were looking at every detail. And the more they looked at the details, the more they realized its flaws and its weaknesses. And, that's something where I'm like, wow, man, we need more of this. We need more of people realizing and waking up that a lot of these manga, a lot of these games, a lot of these anime that they be hyping up are actually trash, but they just don't have the intellect to see it because they're focused on the surface level. They can't peel the rosebud a little bit. They can't go beneath the rose. They can't see it. They can't see that stuff. They're so fixated on the presentation. They're so fixated on the entertainment value that they don't see the inner workings, and they have no idea what's actually going on. But the more and more obvious these creators get with their flaws, their weaknesses, the more they get exposed, and the more, these people realize, holy shit, we gotta call this out. This is not acceptable. I could say back in the day, manga definitely did have a good way of marketing themselves where, they knew they were fraudulent. They knew they weren't writing anything good, but they kind of masqueraded. They kind of hid behind a mask, and they were able to be entertaining and present themselves in a way where an audience can like them no matter what. But nowadays, these mangaka get so bold with it that they think they can get away with anything. And sometimes it works. Stuff like Gachiku gets away with it. Kagurabachi gets away with it. Frieren gets away with it. But certain series, they can't do that. Like that Astral Royale garbage, that Tokyo Revengers garbage, Centuria, of course, and many, many others. So it's very much a double-edged sword, and it's all about how well can you put on the facade? How well can you trick your audience into believing that you're competent and that you know what you're doing? Because sooner or later, the mask is going to slip. The cracks are going to start showing, and you're going to be like, oh, damn. Oh, this loser has no idea what they're talking about. Oh, Lordy. But yeah, that's all I've got today for this little case study of the Centuria manga as to why it fell off so bad. And it was definitely an interesting case, man. Very, very crazy how this just flew off the rails and just tumbled down the mountain, just to be lost in the abyss forever. But, it is what it is. But with that being said, Hideyuki here, the Rebelling Rose, and until next time, I'll see you.